Good morning everyone, and welcome back to Craft Eccentricity. I hope you all had a fabulous weekend, and I had a lot of rain and it's very humid here. Yeah, so what are we up to today? We are doing Panalisa, and I'm using just one frame that isn't Panalisa, and it's a double stitch square that I hauled from Surprise Creation a couple of weeks ago, and it is a huge set of squares all the way up to 8 inches. So if anybody's interested in that, I will link that below. So that's the one item that isn't Panalisa, so I'm just going to move that out of the way. Right, so on Friday I'm putting everything here. I did this one and I did it wrong. This piece doesn't glue to the sides as you saw me do it. It just folds in, and that's where it stays, and then when you folded it, it all slots together. Right, so I'd already shared that it comes with a label, a flower, comes with a centre, and comes with leaves. And this is how I've done mine. And what I did was I used a Dollar Tree manila envelope, and then I used Dollar Tree lace, and I've just gone all the way around it. And now it is quite a sturdy thing. Now the square die from Surprise Creation that I just shared with you was to cut a piece of this gorgeous bee paper, and then I did another one just so that I could do that for the back. So I've got a manila back and I've got the pattern front, and if you want to know how bad my humidity is, I don't know if you can see that. There is serious rippling in my paper, yeah, and it's double thickness, just to show you how bad it is. Right, so now you've seen what I'm using, and I've done that. I'm just going to pick this out of the way. And what I intend to do is to take my little piece that I've cut there, and I'm going to stick my frame down on top. So we've got that lovely kind of bee image coming through. Now to go with that today is something that Panalisa sent me a few weeks ago, and it's a set of 3 bees. So what I've decided is that I'm going to use the largest bee, and I want to kind of try and make a little specimen box. So in the box building set you get a label, and I've already die cut mine. I've got foam on it. I did it in white cardstock, and then I used my Dymo punch that I got from Amazon. They're about $9 or $10, and that is going to go there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue those bits on, and I'll be right back. Okay, so that's stuck on, and if I turn that up and turn that over, you can see that my camera is blurred. Yeah, here we go. Happy Monday, everyone. Oh my goodness me. There we go. So I've got my Be Happy on there, which is shiny because that's what a Dymo punch does. And then I've got my little image going on inside of there. So I've got my vintage bee skep. Now then, with that set also came a flower, and I have actually already coloured the flower in, and I think I might have that on there. I'm not sure yet. I'm just going to put it off to a side. But the first thing I need to do now, or shall I say the next thing, I'm going to bring in my Alina craft stamp block because it's useful, and that is my bumblebee. So what I've done is I've coloured the body in black cardstock. Well, I didn't colour it, I cut it out of black cardstock, so I've got that, but I've done the body and the wings in white. So I'm going to do the wings first, and they emboss beautifully. Now I've got these pens, and I'm always saying they've still got ink in them actually, which I guess is pretty good, but I got these from Amazon. They were absolutely dirt cheap, and they're absolutely awful as far as I'm concerned. The brush tips on them just absolutely disintegrate after a while, but because they've still got ink in, I'm not going to waste them. So I'm using 2 shades of grey here. One is a cool grey one, and the other is a blue grey one. So I'll go in with the cool grey first, and if I can get the lid off, and if you can see the tip, see, it's not brush anymore, it's all squidgy, but it's okay for colouring in solidly. So that's basically what I'm doing. I just want to take the white out of the wings, so I'm just brushing that on there, and it may not be apparent on camera, but I can see it, and I will give you a close-up afterwards. Right, so I'm just going to do the other one the same, and I'll come right back. Right, so that's the harsh whiteness taken away, and if I get the bee body, which isn't coloured, you can see that there is absolutely a difference in shade there. So now I want to use my blue grey, and I haven't used this much, and this is how they come. And you think, oh, that's a nice pen, and then you use it a few times, it just goes all squishy on you. And what I want to do with this one is a couple of shades darker, and I just want to go into these cut sections just to highlight those a bit. So all I'm going to do is just track them, which is really easy. Just tracing the outlines, putting the dots in, and putting that in. So I'm going to complete both my wings, and I'll be right back. Right, so I've got my extra little bit of bluiness there, and now I'm using a little bit of black distress ink, which I've got on my foam here, and I'm just going to gently go around the edges. So just grunging them up just slightly. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the other one, so that you can see that there. It's got a little bit more definition to it. Right, so I'll do my next one, and I'll be right back to do the body. Right, so there's my little wings, and I glued them both together just in the centre so that I can spread them out a bit. And you could, if you wanted to, do a solid bottom and a vellum top if you wanted something a little bit more transparent, or you could even use thin acetate, and you'd certainly get the same level of embossed detail in it. So they're going over there with my flower to dry. Right, so the next thing is the yellow body, and that's going to be super easy. I'm just going to use the broad tip to do this, and I'm just going to scoot it around. So here we go. And I'm using the same shade of yellow, whichever this is, as I've used in the centre of the flower. See how quick that was? Really easy. So we've got that done. I'm just going to let that dry just for a second because it's quite saturated, and I'll be right back. Right, so that's done, and the next thing I'm going to do is go in with my black again. And you know, just because you're using an alcohol ink marker doesn't mean that you can't use distress ink. You most certainly can. So I'm just going around the edges here just to define them and make them just a little bit more vintage. And I think I'm going to be brave and just stroke a bit across the body. Just going to scruff it up just a little bit. Just take the brightness edge off it. So that's what I've got there. Right, so let's pick that up. Can you see that? It's just dulled it just a little bit. So now we need a little body, and we're going to glue everything together. And this is going to take a few seconds once I've done this for it to dry, and then I'll come right back up. I hope you can ignore my AC running overtime in the background. Did anybody else get lots of rain this weekend? I was just out in the back garden. I was just throwing fertiliser everywhere, trying to get as much fruit from my fruit trees as possible. And then into the middle there we are going to be putting our wings. Now it's entirely up to you. See, my mat's sliding around, whether you go all the way up there, whether you decide to go down there, and I think I'm going to go pretty central, so I'm just going to squeeze a little blob of glue there. I'm going to cap my bottle so it doesn't dry out, and then I'm just going to go right there with that. And I'm just going to let it dry for a second and I'll be right back. Right, so my little bee is dry, and I put a little strip of foam tape underneath him so that he can be 3D. And of course I've fluffed his wings up, which hopefully I've got to tip this towards me so that I can see where he's going, because I do kind of want him to be in the center like that. So I've got my little bee inside my box, and if you wanted to push the wings down you could. I mean, they might even, you know, sort of flatten down over time if that's what you want. And then I've got my little flower, which I think I'm just going to pop down there. So just a little bit of glue onto that. So you can see how I've constructed this. It's all like little bitty bobbies. Just move that around. And I'm just going to glue that flat onto there. And that is my little bee box. And that is what I've got for you today. Right, I hope you have an absolutely awesome day. Take a close look inside there. Isn't that sweet? And as I say, I do apologise for my Friday video. Sometimes I think I kind of tend to overcomplicate myself when really it's easy. You just tuck that flap in. It doesn't, you know, glue around here. It just tucks in. And then you just stick them all in and glue them. It's got its little bit of Dollar Tree lace. Just really sweet. Love that. And I think it will stand up. Yeah, it does. So you could actually stand that on your shelf or put an easel on the back of it. But just really cute. Be nice for Christmas as well, I think. Right, as I said, I thank you so much for joining me today. I'll be up with more Panalisa tomorrow, and as usual, all links below. Bye.